Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Sunday Morning Transplant Coffee Talk. I am your host, Steve Belcher. We have an exciting show this morning. All the way from Patterson, Louisiana, we have Tuwana Ray Jones, and we look forward to speaking with her. But before we get to our interview, I just wanted to share the results of a poll that Urban Reno Talk with Tamika and Steve did. The question was, would you accept a compromised kidney if you was on the transplant list? We had 56 people that responded yes, they would receive or they would accept a compromised kidney, and we have 44% that says no. So that goes to show you some people, it doesn't matter. If they want to get off dialysis, they would accept that compromised kidney. Now on to our show. Hey, Tawana, how you doing today?
Good morning. I'm great. How about yourself?
I'm fine, thank you. Thank you for coming on our show today. Really appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule to do this.
Well, thank you for inviting me. I'm really pleased, was really pleased to accept the invite.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So let me ask you, Tawana, would you accept a compromised kidney?
Definitely. Definitely. I
Oh, you
definitely would. That wasn't my case, I've been transplanted, of course, and it was a living donor. It was a three-way paired donation, and my sister was actually my donor that donated on my behalf, rather. But if a donor never would have come um, available, if no one that tested or even, would have decided that they wanted to still donate their kidney after we weren't a match, then I definitely would have. It didn't matter
right.
the age or any of that.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I believe that's one's own decision to make, and they hopefully, when they making that decision, they have all the information available from the healthcare provider on that specific organ to make a informed decision on whether if it's right for them or not. A-
Exactly. Absolutely.
Absolutely. So, Tawana, tell us your story. How did you end here today? Far as I know, you told me you was diagnosed with glomerulonephritis, but
Correct.
tell us the day when you found out that you had kidney disease from that point.
Well, when I found out I was in, I've really become an activist about it because if someone else would have been, out there raising awareness and sharing, the signs and symptoms of kidney disease, I wouldn't have, I feel like I wouldn't have been caught blindly. But, at the age of 40, I was diagnosed. I was trying to get a procedure done and they ran tests and then found out, that I wasn't eligible to have the surgery that I was looking into because, I had signs of renal failure. And I was in absolute shock. I didn't all I could just say is God, took care of me with that because my blood was so low. I had ignored these signs. I was just dumbfounded to the signs. The signs mimic other things. So I really didn't know what was going on with me. But once I found out, of course, I went to my healthcare provider and thereon and thereforth after a week in the hospital, I started learning more about it, what it meant when you have kidney failure. Like I said, I didn't have a clue. And as I started, doing research on it and all of this, I was like, wow, the signs were there. And maybe they would have even caught it before I was actually 40 years old. It could have been, caught before then. It could have eliminated me from dialysis. I could have probably went straight to the transplant list. I could have done a lot of different things. I was still eating, not eating, properly. I wasn't following a renal diet. These things could have delayed me from actually going on dialysis. and
Wow.
could have saved me years, um and like I said earlier, just a few minutes ago, I could have probably went straight to the transplant list. Family members could have been tested, ahead of time, and I could have slowed the disease up myself. I know that now by doing more and more research. So early detection is key.
Right. So what stage were you in when you found out? Were you at stage 5?
When I found out, I was close to stage 4 at the time when I found out. That was in 2006. So I went all the way from 2006 until 2014 started paralysis.
Okay.
Yes.
So you never did in center. You started straight um, from peritoneal.
Right. I went out, like I said, I went all the way to 2014. And by that time, I was just really, really, it was really taxing on my body. I just couldn't go anymore. I was just so exhausted, and my nephrologist, Dr. Gupta, suggested, peritoneal dialysis. He said, I think you will be a perfect candidate for it. And so we began to go through the motion to have that done. I learned about it, exactly what it was and how it was going to work for me, and did more and more research about it, got my home prepared, and then started meeting with the nurses to actually learn how to do that on myself. And once I was all connected and set up for that, I immediately began to feel a lot better and felt like I could go on with life, because I at the point, I'm telling you, it was just really, really hard. A lot of people don't realize um, how kidney disease can affect your body, all of the toxins and everything that builds up. And it really just, it makes you almost lifeless to a point, you know. And I just noticed a lot of different things were different for me than the normal kidney patients that I had met were already on dialysis. For one thing, they were really, really small. They were really frail. And I just noticed a lot of different things were different.
Sorry about that. So, what has been your biggest challenge with peritoneal?
Um, just the fact that you had to do it every day. It had to be done every night, and working full time. I'm still handling a full time job. I'm still a wife. I'm still a mom. I'm still a grandma. I had a lot of things. I was just living a full life, and I had to juggle all of that around. Taking care of myself. I had to then put myself on the top of the priority list, because that's a must. I had a pet that I loved. I had one that, I was not going to get rid of my baby. So
Right.
we had to make preparation for the pet and train her, to not come into the bedroom. We had a lot of things, that my husband and I and my children, we had to make adjustments with. But one of the biggest challenges was just making sure I was connected at a proper time in order to get off at the after 8 hours to go on with my day, whether it was to go to church, go to Sunday school, and make my services and all of that. So that was my biggest challenge, just juggling the time schedule.
Right. So did you do the cycler during the night or you did the manual exchanges?
Yes, I did the cycler where it just ran through one session, one 8 hour session throughout the night. I did 4 cycles in one night. And the reason for that for me was because with the type of kidney disease that I have, I never stop urinating. Like and that was surprising to me to find out that most kidney patients do not urinate at all. So they're not getting anything, any cleaning, any waste leaving their body until they would go to dialysis. Whereas I was still urinating like just like a regular person.
But
And
it
so,
just wasn't clearing enough out.
but it wasn't clearing enough out. Exactly. It wasn't clearing enough out.
Right. So has that, since your transplant, has that situation resolved itself, the glomerulonephritis?
Well, to be honest, okay, this is something that I'm always sharing. Just because you've been transplanted, it is not a cure. I still have kidney disease. It is still there. But I now have a functioning, healthy kidney inside of my body that's helping to get rid of it. So the signs are when I have blood tests, it's still going to show that I have kidney disease. It actually is showing that I have like the early stages of stage 3. And remember, I just said earlier, when I was diagnosed, I was at the late stages of stage 3, almost going into stage 4. So yes, it's still there. Transplant is not a cure. It's just a new way of life, and it has given more more of my life back. I'm not connected to a machine anymore. It's part about it, and also I know now how to take care of myself even better by eating properly, by exercising down, and drinking enough water. Because some people think I was drinking too much, possibly, but you need to stay hydrated. Now that I have a functioning kidney, I need to make sure I don't dehydrate that kidney. So I need to drink a lot of water.
Right. Wow. Um, so tell us the day you got the call. How did that go? How did you find out that you were actually getting the kidney? I know you said you did the three-way pair exchange, but when you finally actually got the call, what was that like?
I can remember this before when I got my first call. I actually wasn't on the pair donation list at that time. I was just on the regular, regular cadavers list. And so, but anyway, they had given me a call around October, um, the early month of October, and said that, they could possibly, something could possibly happen between that time for me, and they had originally given me a date also of December. No, in February 13th, like right before Valentine's Day, and I was so excited. I began to share with my family and friends and everything, and so I went to a doctor's appointment actually on my wedding anniversary, and we spoke to them after the appointment, and they said it was a go, and all of this, it was going to happen, and so we were driving back from New Orleans to go spend the rest of the day, celebrating our wedding anniversary and the upcoming transplant. Then I got a call that from the nurse that my surgeon had shot it down. And I really couldn't understand why, and it was heartbreaking. So I immediately text my nephrologist because I have his phone number in my speed dial. So he said, well, to it. It has to be, a reason. Well, it is a reason, but it has to be a great reason for him to shoot it down, knowing that you're already on the transplant list. And so once he got back with me within a few days, he told me that the surgeon said, that it just wasn't a perfect match for me after all. I don't know if it was rather like the age of the person or the whatever health, they wanted to match me up with somebody that was as close to me as possible, and that's living a full life and at my age, and everything. So they shot that one down. But anyway, so the next time they said they had a swap for us, for my sister and myself, and they called me. I was at the gym after work, and I didn't seem excited. Well, I wasn't. And the nurse asked me, she said, aren't you excited? And I said, well, yes, I am excited, but I'm just going to keep it between myself and my sister because I don't want to tell my family and then it doesn't happen. So I ended up, she just told me, just stay healthy, because this is going to happen. Get prepared. And I didn't even tell my husband this time. I didn't tell my kids or anybody, just my sister and myself, exactly what was going to happen this time. I didn't want to say anything until it was a go. But once it was a go, oh my God. And I told them that this was going to happen. And, even to back it up some, my prayer was always to never have someone to leave here where I could receive a gift like that, the gift of life. And I mean, that's the way it works because I've been a donor ever since I started driving. I was a regular blood donor as well as a platelet donor before, I was diagnosed. So I've been giving back. It was, but still, and I realized, like I said, that's the way we receive these organs, when somebody else is going, has been called home. And but that was my prayer, not for anybody to leave here in order for me to receive that gift. And my prayer was definitely answered. My prayer
Wow.
definitely answered. So that's
Wow.
how we ended up doing the three-way pair donation. And I was excited as ever. And my donor, my sister, my heart, she was as excited as I was. And maybe, a lot of people didn't understand maybe why, you know, she decided to do that. But she had initially came up to me on two different occasions and said, she wanted to be tested and to give me one of her kidneys. And I was like, look, talk to your children and everything, talk to the rest of the family. And she was adamant about it from day one, and she was as excited as I was on surgery day, just and every day, even now, every day we're excited, we giggle, we're very pleased. And I was just very pleased to receive that gift, and she was very pleased to share the gift.
Wow. Wow. So, has your life, I'm sure it has, but has your life changed since the transplant? Or are you still doing the same things that you were doing before you got the transplant?
Wow. I know if any of my friends or families watching, they're probably laughing right now because it has definitely changed for me. I was just all about just being a wife, a mom, a grandma, and just really a homebody. And I'm still about being a wife and a mom and a grandma, but more active and able to do more. I just love to get out now. Before I didn't care. I would miss a party, but now anybody having a party, let me know about it. I'll be there. If I can be there, I'm going to make it because life is so short. I see so many of my friends, family, and just people that, I know are losing loved ones every day. Life is a gift within itself, and we need to treasure that. We need to enjoy it. We need to share with others, give when we can give, whatever we can, and show love to one another, not still, not living holding grudges. I don't worry about any of that anymore. The littlest little thing used to bother me, the type of person I was before my transplant. And I mean, if I'm in Walmart and somebody didn't speak, that would just hurt me to my heart. I don't know what they're going through. Maybe they didn't even see me, or anything. I don't hold on to grudges. I just want to love on everybody and just enjoy my life. I see my sister just logged in or said something or whatever, and I love you. I love you dearly, and I appreciate you so much. But yeah,
Wow.
I'm out and about now. My husband's like, "You a party girl, huh?" But we're enjoying each other and just doing things, taking chances. I was just afraid to do this. I was afraid to do that. And now, I take a chance because if God brought me through all of this, you know, then hey, I'm living my life to the fullest.
Right. Um, we it was a gentleman that received a transplant last week, named Adrian Miller, kidney warrior, and he had posted a picture of his transplant medications and other medicines in his hand, for that morning dosage. And I didn't know the exact number, but maybe somewhere about 15 different medicines. How many medicines since your transplant are you taking now?
Now I'm taking 12 different pills a day. I'm taking 12. And hopefully, well, now that I'm 18 months transplant strong, I have an appointment at the end of the month. And hopefully, they'll be able to bring me down, actually, not on the supplements that I take, but the actual two transplant medications that I take, which are Prograf and the Cell Set. And so hopefully, they'll move me down off of those. But
Mm-hmm.
the rest of the medications are vitamin supplements, and I take a 5 milligram blood pressure medication as a precaution. And I up on top of that. I when I was on peritoneal dialysis, I had to weigh myself twice a day, morning and evening, as well as take my temperature, as well as my blood pressure. So those things are the things that I still do today. I don't take my temperature unless I'm not feeling well, but I definitely do my blood pressure checks morning and evening, and I definitely weigh myself once a day because I want to stay on top of that. I want to keep my weight at a healthy weight as much as possible, and not let it get out of control. And because that's a part of it too. Look, and like I was saying earlier, the people that I've come to know were on dialysis already. They were really tiny and frail, and I was like, well, I don't know what type of this kidney disease I have, because I had to really fight to get weight off of me. I always, like you see me looking right now, this is the way I look, just heavier, but this is the way I look throughout being, throughout the journey of being a
Kidney
dialysis.
disease. Mm-hmm.
I never looked like I was going through anything. If I wouldn't have told anyone, they wouldn't have known that I was doing peritoneal dialysis every night, because I looked so healthy. Nobody, really could believe it. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And the only thing really you could see, if you didn't already know me, well, for the people that already knew me, the only thing they could tell is because my complexion was darker. That was it. But other than that, I was looking just like I'm looking today. Yeah.
Right.
Hmm.
What what was the hardest what was the hardest thing that you had to deal with concerning peritoneal? Meaning, was it the supplies, storage? Was it the long treatment? What was it about peritoneal, if any, that that was a challenge in doing that?
No, we were probably to the house once a month. I never ran out of anything. You know what was challenging for me after a while? After doing peritoneal for a while, and you doing this every day. I did it every day, every evening for 23 months. 1 month shy of 2 years. But in between there, after I got so comfortable with it, I would try to take shortcuts and stuff. And that was the thing that messed me up, because look, I knew I had to wash my hands thoroughly, and all of that. And I would do all of those things, but I started getting careless and not masking up. I thought just holding my breath would be good to make my connection and then breathe normally. And then I started feeling a little, I don't know, like something's not quite right, in my tummy. So I was like, let me you just call the renal nurse and let her know. And maybe she can, have me come in for a little test. And so she did. She said, come in. She said, are you following all of your procedures? And I was like, I knew I had this. I'm great. I'm doing great with it. And I told her what I was doing. And I ended up getting peritonitis, and it was caught in a very early stage, and it's very treatable. So I learned from that. She said, look, I know you're comfortable with it and you're doing great and everything, but follow all of your procedures 100%. Don't shortcut. Mask up every time. Make sure your air conditioner unit is not running when you make your connection, and make sure you close your bedroom door. Make sure your window is closed. Those are the things that I had to make sure. I couldn't just hurry up and take a shortcut, because that could cost me with peritonitis and possibly cost me my life. Because peritonitis is a very, very serious disease. And all it did, and it taught me a lesson, because what it did, it backed up it added more time to me. I had to get up even earlier for work, because I had to get up and then put medication in after my night treatment is done. I had to put medication into another saline bag, and have that medicine in my abdomen and leave it in there, go to work with it in there, where I'm looking like I'm about 6.5 months pregnant. So I made sure I had to dress a certain way so nobody would know I'm carrying this fluid and medication in my belly. Those nobody knows. Like even my husband, he's in here with me every day, but nobody knows what you go through like you know what you go through, and so I
Right.
learned that for sure. Follow, if you're on peritoneal dialysis, don't shortcut it. Follow everything as you were doing on day one.
Wow. Absolutely. Absolutely. There's a lot of people out there that are doing peritoneal or maybe thinking about it. So they definitely need to hear that information. So what
Yes.
has how long once you got your transplant, how long were you hospitalized?
Okay. I had my transplant at Oshner, the West Jefferson location in New Orleans, and after the transplant, I stayed in the actual hospital for approximately a week, I believe. And then, I stayed at the hospital. I already knew I had to stay there a month because of the distance where I lived. So they weren't going to allow me to come home because I had to be tested just about every day to make sure the kidney wasn't trying to reject itself. So I was able to stay at the hotel at Oshner's, and I stayed there um, a complete month. I stayed in the hospital a week, but after the week, I started retaining a lot of fluid because they didn't, after my transplant, they did not put any drain tubes in. They just assumed since I was already urinating naturally on my own before while I was on dialysis and throughout being diagnosed with kidney disease, that it wasn't necessary. So anyway, I began to retain a lot of fluid, and so they put me back into the hospital. I had to go back in, and I stayed there another week while they got the tubes in, to the drainage tubes and all of that, to help release some of the fluid. So, but anyway, they let me out just in time for my birthday, April 9th. So I had the transplant that March 7th, and I was home on my birthday, April 9th. Yeah.
Wow. That's great. That's great. That's great. Um, so tell me, how bad is kidney disease in Louisiana or the area where you're at? Share that with
Well,
us.
I know, doing research and looking at statistics and everything, there's over 30 million people, that's suffering with this disease. And it's not talked about enough. It's not, shared enough. Only time a lot of people really get involved, and I mean it's natural because that's when I got involved, when I had to actually go through it. But now our mission, your mission and my mission, and so many of others out there that I've met along the way, our mission is just to share with as many people as we can, the symptoms to look for, and to go see about yourself. All you have to have is a simple urine test. There's just, so like I said, over 30 million people that's, you know has been diagnosed and are still being diagnosed. It's just so
Right.
many people there. We can't talk about it enough. We need to talk about it more. I had, kind of just fell off a little bit about talking about it because in my community, it seems like as if, everybody's not as, I don't know, really care about it or whatever, but you can maybe help someone else. Because I never forget at work when I was really feeling bad, I began to slow down, and I began to see these signs and not really knowing, thinking it was just related to my weight, where my abdomen started swelling and different things. But they had a person that I was working with had actually dealt with kidney disease before, well, renal failure. And he said, well, Mrs. Ray, maybe you need to go check. It might be your kidneys, because he could see that I was changing daily. He could see that I was struggling just to get at work. He could see my smile was gone. He's like, something, you're not feeling good, aren't you? And I was like, no, I'm not feeling good at all. So that's why I just keep putting it out there and keep sharing with everybody. But you know what? And I'm going to continue to do that, whether I get support, I don't get support, because it may be just one person that I help in my community. And if it's one, that's enough, you know,
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
and so many people.
And
Mm-hmm.
now go ahead.
So many people are watching and everything, and so maybe they can share with someone, in which this has happened with some of my family members. They have inboxed me or called me or text me or whatever and said, look, would you like to talk to so and so, because they're going through something, and I wanted to talk to you because it seems like you just breezed right through everything. You didn't let it get you down, because my mind was made up from the beginning, after I became got out of the initial shock, actually what was happening to me, that I was going to fight. I was going to fight this thing. I wasn't going to let it get me. I'm still going to dress up. I'm still going to I had to get up even earlier, but I did. I'm still going to get my makeup on, and I'm going to put my best foot forward. I'm going to enjoy my day. I wasn't going to let it get to me, even if I was still on peritoneal dialysis. And I would always say, even testify at church, whether the kidney comes or it doesn't come, I'm going to still live a great life. I'm going to live my life until God calls me home. You know?
Wow, absolutely. Now, Tawana, for somebody who may be watching that just recently been diagnosed with kidney disease, what what type of symptoms were you dealing with before you actually found out what was going on with you?
Okay, well, like I said, my situation, it was very tricky for me. And I was 40, had just turned 40. I had already been seeing some symptoms, but I wasn't sure what they were. I just put it on weight gain. That's what I thought it was, because I was just a person with yo-yo back and forth, lose a lot of weight, take me 2 years or so, get it down, then just get tired of going through it and just start slipping back into old habits. So I thought that that's what was happening to me. That I was just slipping back. So of course I noticed my face was getting fuller. I noticed, around my eyes, and these are true symptoms of kidney disease: swelling, the epiderma, and the
Edema.
ecedema. Yes, and my feet were swelling. My my ring, and then my abdomen. I never carried a lot of weight in the abdomen. I started noticing that, and then every time I would actually go to the restroom to urinate, we need to pay attention to that. Dr. Oz would always say, you need to look and see what's going on, what's coming out of your body. And so I would look, and I was like, no, that's not nothing. Because I would drink like Crystal Light, the fruit punch flavor or whatever. So I was saying that's probably just my urine's just discolored a little bit because of the dye. That's all I kept thinking. And every day I would do, all the time I would look, and I was like, oh, that's not nothing. And it was
Well,
definitely something,
what was
you
you
know?
looking for?
Well, I was just looking to see why the color had darkened. It wasn't red, it wasn't like blood, it was just a darker
Like a
shade, like as if
brownish?
really just dark yellow, like you weren't drinking enough water.
Right.
That's
Did
how it
you?
out. That's how it started out. And then like weeks to come, I looked again. It was like, still checking, and it's like really getting darker brown and darker, just constantly going to shade darker, shade darker. And I'm struggling. I'm struggling to get out of bed for work. I'm just like fatigued. I'm like, well, what is this feeling? Well, you got to get back on your program, because, this weight is slowing you down. That's all I was thinking. And so then when a lot of little bubbles and the little foam started showing up, I was like, something's not right. Something's not quite right here. And so,
Right.
like I said, I was trying to get a procedure, and the procedure I was trying to get was the bariatric surgery of the lap band. That's what I was trying to get, and that's when my mind was focused. So I was like, once I get that surgery right and I get my weight down, then everything, is going to be better. It's got to be my weight. That's all I could put it on, because I didn't know any other symptoms, that these symptoms could mean that there was kidney disease. I didn't have a clue. So those were the main things that I saw. I was just struggling, fatigue. When you're fatigued, and that's not normal, you need to go see about that. Don't just say it's this or it's that, because what I was thinking it was clearly wasn't. And even once I was, found out what was going on, I said, what would have happened if I would have, just kept, just not paying attention, just going on, just struggling every day, just waiting to get that little procedure. What would have happened to me? And I might not be here talking to you today, because that's how serious kidney disease is. It was literally taking me out of here. My complexion had went from my normal brown skin to a gray looking color, where I didn't have any blood, because like I said, as I kept looking and looking and looking and checking, oh, it's nothing. By the time I did my final blood test, once they put me in the hospital, and I don't mean final, but to know that it was definitely, that definitely my kidneys were failing me. By that time, it was blood red then. It was blood red. And they're like, has this been going on? And I was like, no, it's just been a little hazy yellow. And I told them how I would look at the different stages. But now she said, now, baby, this is blood red. This is blood. So once they put me in the hospital from the actual doctor's appointment, and they put me in the hospital the same day, that same day after that blood test came out, they immediately had to give me a blood transfusion. I ended up with 3 blood transfusions. So I didn't really know how strong I was until I went through this, because I was like, you got to be pretty strong, because you're still going to work. You're still pushing it. You're still getting up and you dragging yourself to work. You dragging yourself to church. You dragging yourself to go to the grocery store. And you literally, you're, and that's what it was. And I mean, my blood was just that low. They gave me 1 blood transfusion, test my blood, it was still low. They did it again, gave me another one, till I ended up with 3 blood transfusions. Wow. Within that week, within that 7 days. So this is serious. It's very serious.
Absolutely, absolutely. What how did you get interested in transplant once you got on dialysis? Was that something that you already knew before you started peritoneal, or once you got on peritoneal, you started researching and getting the information?
Oh no, I already knew about donating and about the organ donation, and I was already on the list to be an organ donor if anything were to happen to me. Now I just assumed, that, once I got to the point where they said dialysis was, you were going to need dialysis, I immediately said, well, at least I know I can prolong my life by having a transplant. So once we get ready, the doctor gets ready, he's like, okay, I'm going to submit you for transplant. So they submit me to transplant, and then I get a letter from Oshner telling me that I was not eligible at this time for transplant because of my BMI. So that I needed to lose weight. I needed to lose about 45 pounds before they would consider me to, go on the list. So that's when I was supposed to get busy that day when I read that letter, right? You would think that I would.
Right.
You would think that like, oh, you're going to start walking today. You're about to make a change. Well, I didn't. I got angry. I got really angry. And I was like, I'm in need of a transplant. And even if I have my own donor, you're not going to do a transplant on me? And they're like, no, ma'am, we're not going to do a transplant on you. You need, until, whether you have your donor or not, until you lose at least 45 pounds. And then we're going to bring you back in. We're going to do a workup on you. We're going to check everything out and then see if you
Was was that was that
now.
discouraging for you to hear that?
My God, very, very. Of course I cried, and I was like, I just can't believe this. And so when I was sharing it with a few other people, they were like, well, try another hospital, because I don't think they do that, because I know some people that had theirs, and they didn't have to lose that much weight, or they didn't have to lose weight at all. So I was like, oh, I'll see whatever I'm gonna do. But then I started thinking, well, look, if I'm gonna die, I might as well enjoy myself.
Right.
So I still didn't start a program or anything I wanted. And I drank what I wanted. And I was like, well, the heck with it. And then, I had this awakening. I looked at my family. I looked at my husband that loves me dearly. I look at my children. What are they going to do without their mama, you know? And I was like, this is very selfish of me not to fight.
Wow. Wow.
At that very moment, I can't even walk 30, but I'm a fight. So what I did, I began to pack a bag and my gym bag. And I said, well, to back up a little bit, I never forget my husband's always paying my gym membership, right? And I'm like so upset about the diagnosis and stuff. And he's like, babe, why don't you just go back to the gym and start slowly? You know you can do this. You've done it before. And I'm like, man, you could drop that. You could drop that membership because I'm never going back to the gym. That's how I was. So anyway, hi Traylon. I love you, baby. My daughter's tuned in. But anyway, that was my mindset at the time. I said, you could drop that because I'm never going back. But once I got the awakening to go back to where I was a few minutes ago, um, and I say, it's very selfish of me not to fight. And that was that Monday, because I'm always a Monday starter. So I put my bag in the car and I was like, I'm going to the gym. And I told my husband that morning, I said, hey, you think you can add me back, back on the membership with you at the gym because I want to go today. And boy, I'm telling you, it warmed my heart and it's about to make me cry right now. But he looked at me and he said, because I knew you were gonna make up your mind. I know you to be a fighter and not just to give up, and that you were gonna fight for it. So I never stopped paying it, and that's a beautiful thing, to have support. When you have that support system, I've met other people I've talked to, and I through them that the wife left the husband when she found out he had to go on dialysis.
Where was this at?
Left the wife. That I've met other people that didn't have that support system like I have. And they find out their
Right.
loved one is sick and their life is going to change. And you mean to tell me my wife's got to be hooked up to a machine every night for 8 hours? You know? And
Right.
one lady went
Right.
to the shower and she gets out the shower, right? And she looks around. It's just her and her husband in the house. And he's grabbed some clothes and gone. He's left her. You
Wow.
know?
Unbelievable.
Yes. And everybody doesn't stick by their spouses at that time. They don't take their vows seriously through sickness and through.
Right.
But I'm very
Absolutely.
fortunate to have that support system. So,
And you kind of beat me to my next question because I was going to ask you how important is your family to you for support, and you pretty much just answered it. I believe a support system is very very important for anyone who's dealing with a chronic condition or disease.
right, right. That's right. Any type support system, that's the best. So that's what I'll tell people that I've met along the way. Look, I'm here for you. You can call, you can text me. I'll talk to you. If you don't mind,
Right.
you know, you might have to tell me something more than once, and you may have to say, look, I just told you that. But because we're on a lot of medication, you know, and my thoughts are here and there sometimes. I was just telling my sister this morning, so life is not, everybody thinks once you transplant it, it's picture perfect. It's not picture perfect, but it's a blessing. It's definitely a blessing. I wouldn't trade it. I wouldn't trade anything that I've been through. Sometimes I'm driving now and I'll look up and I may look to the left or the right and then look straight ahead and like, wait a minute, where am I? Did I pass my street up or something? And for a few seconds there, I am like, okay, let's get it back together here now. And because you're on so much medication, those transplant meds have a lot of pros, there are some cons. There are
Right.
definitely some.
Absolutely. And I was going to ask you that. Have you had any um, side effects from the medication so far?
Yeah, and that's one of them that I'm really really noticing. And like I said, it's that I'm driving and then I look up and it looks foreign to me for a few seconds, maybe 15 seconds or so. It looks foreign, and then I'm like, okay, I know where I'm at right now. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what I do. And of course, I'm not a big outdoorsy person due to my allergies. But when I am out and I'm in the sun, I make sure I wear a lot of sunscreen. Make sure I have the highest sunscreen available. I have lotion, I have spray that I put on because I am prone to sun cancer, and which sun cancer is 100% treatable. It is. But still in all, I want to protect myself, because of the type of anti-rejection meds I take. So
Right.
yeah, that's the main thing that I find. And I also found that even with being back on my program and everything, that the structure of my body change. So you have, but on the Prograph and the Cell Cell, there are some of that in those medications. I really have to fight even harder now to maintain this weight at work because of the fluctuation that comes with taking the medication. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Okay. So, can you tell us about Ray's Kidney Crusaders?
Okay, so I just came up with that little catchy name, and it's just a site for to. I like to post a lot of little things there, and FYI, for your information, because like I said, I didn't know what was going on with me, but maybe I can help someone else through Ray's Kidney Crusader. I might not have kidney disease, but guess what? I think I'm gonna go get checked, to just make sure. What's a simple urine test, or I may know someone that's been telling me, oh, I've been feeling real sluggish lately, and I notice I don't go to the restroom as much as I used to, or something. Then maybe they can say, hey, maybe you ought to go get checked. Encourage your loved ones or friends, or to get checked. So that's what that page is about, just spreading awareness and putting little things up, and sharing some of my journeys in different kidney walks I'll do, or any kind of functions I go to, as far as to continue to raise awareness about it.
Right. I definitely admire that and think that that page is crucial, important, especially in that area where you're at, because I believe it takes small grassroots organizations and ministries such as ourselves to um, make this disease known. I mean, it's known, but there's not a lot of attention being brought to kidney disease. And I don't want to sound like a conspiracy theorist on here, but one has to wonder um, if nothing's being said about it because of all these dialysis clinics out there. Because once you start educating people and trying to raise the awareness and to prevent people from going on dialysis, then you kind of slow up the
Okay.
business.
Okay, definitely. I'm 100% in agreement with you with that, because that's what I tell a lot of people. I mentioned it earlier on the show. I could have eliminated dialysis altogether. I really do feel that. I really do believe that. Told, told from day one, look, you do have kidney disease. These are the things you need to do. Even before I left the hospital, look, you need to change your eating habits. You need to change what you're drinking. You need to be aware of this. You need to start a renal diet ASAP. You need to leave processed foods alone. They needed to, if they would have told me how important, you can prevent yourself. The kidney disease is there. Okay, it's here. You have it. But you can prevent going on dialysis, and they could have told me even about my weight or whatever. That's a good thing. You might want to start working on getting your weight down, because maybe you can go straight from, you can omit dialysis and maybe get on the transplant list. I mean, I was already told in the hospital, even before I knew what type of kidney disease that I had, how serious it was. And once I found out after the kidney biopsy, what type that I had, they could have told me different ways to slow it down. And I can't just blame it on just the doctors or whatever, but I should have been more on top of it myself doing research like I do now, like I did later on down the line where I started doing more research. Because all I knew is that I was going to be put on a treatment plan, and my treatment plan consisted of 6 treatments of Cytoxin, the chemo drug Cytoxin. So I did 6 once a month treatments of Cytoxin. And that pretty much, and along with the prednisone, the steroid prednisone, and that kind of bounced some life back into my kidneys and where I could get back on my feet again. And I started looking better. And then when I started and feeling better, when I started feeling and looking better, I began to get out and get more active. So my weight began to come down a little bit. But if they would have told me how important, I think that I really would have, saved myself that time, and not have to go on dialysis. But
Yeah,
it was all for a reason. It was all for a reason, Steve. And I'm not gonna go back and take anything or whatever. If I'm much stronger, I'm much wiser. I have strength in me that I didn't even know existed. So
right.
each person.
But Tawana, you make a point because you're not the first one that I spoke with that was in that position that was told that they had kidney disease, and if they would have knew and had all that information, they could have prevented from going on dialysis. And I'm just wondering if that's something that is done intentionally or people are not aware of that, because I can't believe that physicians or caretakers are not aware of that, because the literature says you can slow the progression, or halt the progression going to stage 5 if you catch it. The information is out there, but yet it almost seemed like people had to do their own research to find that out, because no one is saying that or um, putting that information out there for them to know that.
Right. And I'm just wondering, if the healthcare system out there, are they told not to do, you just treat your patient. You don't need to go the extra or whatever. And I mean, I have, once I was diagnosed, I had a team around me. I had, a renal nurse. I had everything, a dietitian, nurse, everything. And she would tell me the importance of following the renal diet, but not really focused on the aspect of, you know, um, the physical side. Try to get some exercise in and try to get your weight down as much as possible. Those are the things I would tell someone
Right, right,
if I the transplant. Now some hospitals, I've met some people and they're like really, really heavy and they had their transplants. They're doing, it was a successful transplant. They're doing well with it. But you could do even better. You could do even better by taking care of that because when you're obese, your blood pressure's up there. Your blood pressure's up there. So they should have been told that. And then you're on the line for um, um, not just high blood pressure, but diabetes, you know?
wow, absolutely. So you never stepped a foot in the clinic, so you don't know anyone who received dialysis inside the clinic, because your treatments were done all at home. So you didn't have that interaction with other kidney patients.
I did briefly. And I had to go in to get a chest catheter placed in. And I did go to the center maybe 7 weeks or so Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I did do that for a brief moment, and I would do maybe 3 to 4 hours, and it was not for me. It was not for me. I'm just very thankful that peritoneal dialysis worked for me and did enough a well enough cleaning for my body, because
Mhm.
that was just not the way for me. It wasn't. And I've talked to a lot of people that prefer it over peritoneal dialysis. So it's just a matter of choice, I guess, if you can do both. And I had the opportunity to do both, but the peritoneal dialysis was enough. It did a well enough cleaning for my body where I could return back to it, because you have a little few things here or there if your line gets clogged up or whatever, and they have to go in and take care of that and make sure the fluid is able to flow in and out of your abdomen the way it should. So I did do a little bit at the center, but like I said, it was trying on me. It was very trying on me because I'm working full time, and I was just wiped out completely after. And good thing when I did do it, we were out on a Christmas break, because I teach at a school. So we were out on Christmas break, so I got at least 2 weeks without having to go to work. But once I went back to work and had to juggle that, it was very hard. It was very hard for me.
I'm sure. I'm sure, and I definitely admire your tenacity to do that. I mean, a lot of people are in that predicament that are going through kidney dialysis and still trying to maintain employment as well.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that you said that it kind of just rung in my mind from the healthcare perspective, from being a provider, is when when you said about in center, and you said that you were still urinating, and one thing I noticed with some newly diagnosed patients that came into the center that still have the urine output is that they experience a lot of cramping because some of the caretakers may not know how much fluid to take off and may not know or be aware that that person is still having urine output. So they may try to take off 3 liters when really they only need to take off not more than 1 liter. Did you experience that when you first started in center with the cramping, being that you still had urine output and maybe the caretakers thought you may have had on more fluid than what you actually had on?
Yes, that did happen a few times with the cramping. I was just miserable. Everybody, the other folks around me were so relaxed and just, lying there, reclining, watching TV and stuff like that. And I was literally just like, oh, and they're like, what's wrong? It was just draining me, because I was already getting prepared. I already had begun my program that I was doing, and working on losing weight and everything. So every time I would go back and they would weigh you at first, before you get on for your treatment, I had lost or maintained. So it really wasn't much to pull off. So that's when I had to let my doctor know about it, and he adjusted the hours, the times that they would that I would actually stay on the machine. And so the nurses there were really, really great, and check on me often and understood the process I had already begun, so they were aware of it. And so they would definitely with that, and they would always come and check everything. And it was definitely, wow, it was an experience, I tell you.
I'm
It was
sure.
an experience. I just much rather do it at home in the privacy of my own home. And I was able to relax. I was able to get up and walk around, by having the restroom in my bedroom. I didn't have to get disconnected, to go to the restroom. and by everything being waterproof, even on Sunday mornings when if I got in a little bit late the night before, I'm still able to get up and brush my teeth while my cycler is still finishing up. I'm able to hop in the shower while it's continuing. Everything's waterproof. You couldn't hurt anything.
Wow.
So I'm just like getting ready. I'm getting my hair done, my makeup done. So guess what? When that machine finishes, only thing I have to do is sterilize my hand, mask up, sterilize my hands, get disconnected, and I'm out the door. I'll break my machine down and all that when I get back from church.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Say that again. So you're saying in the morning when you was getting ready for work, you would still be connected to the cycler and take a shower and do everything like you're getting prepared for work while still
Oh yeah.
getting your treatment done.
Oh yes. Oh
That's
yes.
incredible. Incredible. Out of my 30 years doing this, I never heard anyone who was on peritoneal, mention that, or never even thought that
Oh
you would
yeah.
be able to
Around.
do something like that because of the sterilness that they always um, preach about because of
As
the
long
peritonitis.
But of course, I mean, we have to bath, well, not bath, but we able to take a bath, but everything's still closed off. And I mean, this is my experience, and this is what I did. I didn't have any problems with it at all. I'm very careful around my exit site, but I was able to get in and clean up my bedroom. My bathroom is in the bedroom and all of that. And once I'm all together and when the cycler is finished, well, of course, I'm masking up, I'm sterilizing my hands. I have everything laid out in my bedroom to get disconnected, and I disconnect very safely, and close it off and then continue, go ahead and put my outfit on and I'm out the door. It worked for me. That's what I did, that's what I did.
And you did that every day? I mean, when you did
I
it,
didn't
pretty
have,
much?
but no, I didn't have to do it every day because most weekdays I'm already in for the evening at a certain time. So I like to get connected about 7 o'clock. But
Okay.
if it's a Saturday night and I'm at an event, or even sometimes my brother has a catering company. So if I'm working a job with him and helping him out, and I get in a little later, and I'm trying to make it to church for 11 o'clock, well, I'm going to go ahead and start getting ready. I didn't
Right.
have to do it every day. There's times when I had to because I was persistent about getting out the door at a certain time. And as long as I did it safely, and made sure, the sterilization is there, I'm good. I'm good. The only time I had peritonitis twice, and that was because of like I said that earlier in the broadcast, not masking up all of the time. That was a problem. And I don't really know what happened the second time. Oh, I can tell you what happened the second time. The second time it happened, I had just gotten out the shower and I was drying off, and the little catheter piece, my connector, slipped off. So I immediately pinched it off with my fingers and put a little clip on it, and I called the renal nurse, and she told me to come in. That I had did everything properly. I clamped it off, taped it to my body, and get in with her. And once she said because it came off that easily, it probably maybe some water during your shower could have gotten in there and caused a bacteria had gotten in there to cause peritonitis, and you may not be feeling anything as of yet, but is probably coming up. So once I got there, she did do a test and she treated me as if I had it already. And once she got the results back from the test, there was definitely bacteria. So that was
Wow.
the second time I got peritoneal. I mean,
Right.
second time I got peritonitis. Yeah.
Okay.
So I only had it twice, and so
So I had a comment from one of our audience members, Aaron Willer. She said that doctors really tried to push PD on her when she first started, but she was scared because of all the stories with infections.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have someone like Aaron who was approached by it and she heard these different stories about infections, what could you tell her or suggest someone like her who may be thinking about it by you already going through it? What could you tell them to help make them make a an informed decision if this is good for them or not?
Weigh the pros and the cons of both of them. And it just really depends on how far a center may be from her home where she actually lives. Whereas, if she lives a quite distance away and peritoneal will work better for her. But if she's not feeling comfortable with it, nobody should be able to push it on you. I mean, my doctor suggested, which I love, my nephrologist is fantastic, suggested it to me. He didn't push it on me, and he said, look, all I can do is let you talk to some of my patients that's already on peritoneal dialysis. And I did. I had he contacted them and asked, was it okay if I give them a call? So I talked to someone that was already doing it, several people in my community that were already doing it. And also they had made different videos, my nephrologist. And so he said, go watch those videos and see how you feel about it. And he said, and then watch the see how you feel about it. So he didn't push it on me. It was totally, my decision. And it just depends on the type of person. I don't know if they feel that you're a good candidate for it. If they see that you're already, I don't know how this may sound, but if you're already taking really good care of yourself and really following the direction, that you would be a perfect candidate for it. So I said, well, I would like to try it because I'm ready to get cleaned up because I was feeling so awful. So I was willing to give it a try. I knew something had to happen. I was at that point. So it's either you're going to do peritoneal or you're going to go to the center. And go 3 times a week. And I know if that would have been the case where I could with the peritoneal or decided not to do it, I know I wouldn't have been able to still be working. It's just no way from my experience, from my personal experience, with the 6 or 7 weeks that I did it, anybody
Right,
anything on you. You have to be able to say 100%, I feel comfortable with trying it, or no, I don't want to try it. Don't let anybody tell
right.
you that you should. They only suggest things to us. We know ours. If a medication is not working right for me, I was the one. Look, I'm calling. I'm calling in. I'm calling my renal nurse. Look, we got to find something else because it's no way I can continue to work like this and take this medication. I can't even get up, or it's making me really nauseated or whatever. We gotta speak up. Ask me how I'm feeling. They're not gonna just tell me, look, this is what it is and this is how it's gotta go. No, no.
Right.
I'm gonna let you know how you,
Absolutely.
hey, I'm sleepy. How can I deal with children if I'm not, in my right state of mind? So that's why once I go to my appointment again at the end of the month, then I'm going to tell them about how the transplant meds are doing and to see if they can lighten it up. And I mean, I'm willing to try it because all they have to do, see, I do enough research, signs to look for if I'm going into rejection. Now, if I'm starting to go into rejection, I'm not going to be fooled
Mm-hmm.
to ruin the of life and keep lowering the dosage of medication if I need it to be higher. If I need it to be where it is right now, guess what? I'm gonna make the best of it, and I'm gonna
Wow.
fight my way through a great life. just let any little thing get me, off track. All I can do is tell them how I'm experiencing and see what they can do for me. But they're going to hear how I feel because all patients are different. And,
Mm-hmm.
like I said, I talked to other patients that was on peritoneal, and they said they'll never go on it again, ever. And I didn't work for them, you know? So, no, don't let anybody push you, tell you need to do something. You keep doing research on it, and if you have the time and you haven't reached the 15%, and look, 15%, that was mine. I couldn't go any further at 15%. I've met people that were already on 10% kidney function, and they still were not on dialysis at that moment. So
Wow.
everybody was like, I can't do it anymore. I cannot. And I was ready. I was ready for him to make a decision as to what I was going to do, to start. But everybody's not. Hey, somebody else may be able to go beyond 15%. So if you feel like you can still manage, and maybe change some other things, maybe follow a stricter renal diet, and you can follow these things to keep from having to go on dialysis and maybe just go straight to the transplant list, well, do that, fight for it. Fight for
Wow.
it.
Aaron said that you're a strong woman.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Right. So what's next for Tuwana Jones Ray and Ray's Kidney Crusader? What's on the horizon?
Well, I'm now, I'm got my back again to, just raise more awareness. We have a kidney walk coming up that I'm going to participate in with the National Kidney Foundation. And once I'm there, I meet other people and we connect up and we do different things and go different places. Matter of fact, even this summer, I work with Lopa, and we were at the Essence Festival. So I talked to a lot of people, met a lot of people for the first time, and we got a lot of people to sign up as organ donors. So we did that, and all very exciting for me as well as my sister because we share everything, and my excitement is her excitement, and her excitement is my excitement. And I actually met the person's kidney that I have in my body. I met his family. He donated on behalf of his wife to receive her kidney. And they live in Texas, but she's originally from New Orleans. And that's where the Essence Festival is held at in New Orleans. And so I sent them a message and to see if they were going to come down to the festival, and they did. And I got to meet his family, his beautiful wife, and we shared a lot together. And we really do have a lot of interest. My husband and my actual donor, they have a lot in common, and I have a lot in common with his wife. So, and we have lifelong friends. We're family now, so it's beautiful. I just recommend everybody to look into organ donor, in the event of we're called home, someone else can live. Someone else can live and share stories. You can live on through someone else. So
Absolutely.
it's a beautiful journey, and I know I was chosen, to go through it. And like I said, I just never knew I had the strength that I had until I actually went through all of this. And my faith is strong, and I was like, if God puts all of this in on you, it's for a reason, and He'll bring you through it. But we got to put some work into it also. We can't just say, hey, just wait on something to happen. We gotta work too. We gotta work too. And so
Right.
back to what you were saying about race, kidney crusaders, that's the job. That's the job. Just keep placing it out there, And I don't wish kidney disease on anybody, but if anybody happens to go through it and are going through it, I want to be there for them. I want to be there for
Right.
them.
So if someone who's looking at this broadcast right now that has a family member going through it, or they're going through it, or know someone that's dealing with this, what what advice could you share with them to help them make it through this?
This is my advice that I give to anyone that's going through it. Not just, and really not just kidney disease, but any kind of disease. Or anything, any kind of diagnosis, I should say. We don't have to take that diagnosis and go to the grave with it. We don't have to just let it, you know, self-absorb us. We gotta know that, you know, we can make it through it. We can make it through it, and even if we don't make it through it, if hey, if the kidney fails right now, I mean, I still got to keep going. I still got whatever the treatment they're gonna decide for me to go through. I'm gonna go through it, and I'm gonna fight till the end. You don't have to just take this and sit down and say and cry, and we need our release. Oh yeah, tears are there. I'm not gonna tell you, it was times I cried. I did, but I was like, you're gonna get up and you're gonna fight. You got somebody
Mm-hmm.
that's looking up to you and saying, because if they got through it and they fought through it, I'm gonna fight through it. And that's what I did. I was surrounded by fighters. I'm surrounded by fighters in my family and just in my community. And I said, I'm not giving up. I'm not gonna give up. I'm gonna keep going. And if I would have knew that I was gonna be able to do this the way I did it and go through it the way I went through it, I wouldn't even told nobody I was doing peritoneal dialysis, to be honest. I was like, girl, you didn't even need to tell nobody because nobody believes you anyway. I'm like, look, put your hand right here. I got a catheter in my what? Couldn't even believe it. So that's what I'm saying. We can make it through this, and that's what I'll tell anybody. Look, do your research, eat healthy, change your eating habits. I'm not always 100% on it, you know but for 95% I'm on it. So that means that I can have something here or there that I know that's not, that I shouldn't, that I really shouldn't have, and that's not going to hurt me. But it's what I do every day that's helping me. And that's what I would tell them, don't give up. Jump in there. Hey, because like I said before, I had my pity party. I was like, I'm going to eat what I want and I'm going to drink what I want. I'm going to do what I want. I'm not exercising, none of that. But I got my head in the game, and I was like, "Oh yes, you gonna fight, and you gonna make it through this. You gonna make it through."
Wow. So, Tuwana, if anybody wanted to reach out to you, to talk to you, ask you any questions, or just get any information, how would they be able to contact you or reach
Oh,
you?
they're watching us on Facebook Live. They can inbox me, or they can just or they can even call me. My personal number is 985-518-0135. They can send me a message, a text message, via text message, give me a call, whatever they need to do.
What
You
was that
know,
number again?
985-518-0135. And I mean, I love to talk. I mean, you already know that, Steve. I love to talk, and I will. I'll take the time. I'll take the time.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
I've
Wow,
been blessed. I don't mind being a blessing to someone else. I don't mind being a blessing to someone else.
absolutely.
We can
Well,
live a great life with kidney disease, or once we're transplanted, we can live a great life. And
absolutely.
close out, because I've met some people that's not even the type of kid, which is unfortunate. But regardless, we have to push forward. I'm there for them. I'm not just there for someone that has been I'm there for somebody going through the process, just got diagnosed. We still have to go now.
Right.
It's best if you can. Something you want to do it. And that's my motto. Don't wait. Do it. Enjoy life.
Absolutely, because I definitely see a lot of your Facebook posting that you are enjoying life, and that's what really. Let me just share this right quick. You remind me of a friend of mine's sister, and every time in the past, maybe about a year ago or half a year ago, 6 months, when I see your post, I thought that's who you was until I clicked on your name, and I was like, no, this is not Keith's sister. But and then when I started reading your story and seeing what you was doing, I was like, wow. I mean, and every time, all the pictures that I seen of you take, they were all smiling like you were enjoying life at the fullest.
Yes, yes, yes. And I was doing that even before I was transplanted. I was doing because some people transplant is better for. It was good for me when before transplanted. That happened to me, and I'm doing my research, and I knew that it was going to turn around for me as far as once I begin to really do that renal diet, follow it, and leave certain foods alone and stuff, and certain things I was drinking and all of that, and just be more aware of what I was taking into my body, and I begin to slowly feel better and better and better and better.
Yeah,
And that's when I said, don't wait, don't wait.
right. Before we go, please, Tuwana, repeat that again about the renal diet and the food intake. How important is that? Because a lot of people now I see are eating carry out fast food, instant foods that really that we've been conditioned to eat that are not really good for us at the end of the day, but we've been so programmed and conditioned to think that certain foods are good for us, which they really not. So just explain what you just said about how you felt better with your diet by changing that.
Yeah, I did. I felt begin to like just leave. I don't have one day anymore either. I have one once in a while. I drink water over everything else. And since I've been transplanted, I had alcoholic beverage like a daiquiri or something like that once for my birthday, and a glass there maybe once every 3 months. It's you can still have these things, but in moderation. In moderation. Processed foods are no. They just full of sodium. It's all of these things that our body doesn't need, especially once we've been diagnosed. Especially even before then, but especially once we're diagnosed. We need to be able to prepare our own foods and know what's going into our foods. I still
Mm-hmm.
have fast food every blue moon, but like I said, I do on a regular. That's not
Mm-hmm.
anything that I do on a regular. I prefer to cook my own food because I know what's going into it. I know
Right.
what's going into it. I'm watching salt. I'm watching that salt intake.
I,
Yeah.
I
I'm
had a
watching
que-
food
I
and
had a question for you. Aaron wants to know, can you have more fruits on PD dialysis?
yeah, you okay, that's a very good question. I noticed being okay. I had did both sides. I did PD most of my time, but I did a little bit of hemo. And on PD, you do have a little leeway on the things you can eat because of the fact you're doing the dialysis every night. So you're pulling that out of your body at night. And is taking care of it. Whereas if you're going 3 times a week, you have a stricter diet on the hemo dialysis than you do on peritoneal dialysis. Yes, ma'am. That's right.
Wow,
You do
incredible.
have a little more of a leeway because of that fact that you're getting cleaned up every night. Or even if some that do it in cycles, 4 different cycles at 4 different times throughout the day, you're still getting cleaned up there. So you do have a little bit more leeway. Yeah, you do.
Wow,
Yes.
amazing, amazing. Well, I mean, we went over half an hour over our time, but that's okay because I really wanted to get your story out there. And even though we say is from 11 to 12. I believe
Right.
when it comes to education, especially with kidney disease and the importance of this, there's really no time far as on ending education. But I know we all have things to do. So again, Tuwana, I definitely want to thank you for coming on, sharing your story, and we would definitely like to hear more of Ray's Kidney Crusader because we believe that it's important to spread awareness um,
Definitely.
across the United States.
Yes, yes. I'm very pleased, that you invited me, and I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'll do it again if ever the opportunity presents itself,
Sure. Anybody you
and
want to send a shout out to?
yeah, I want to shout out my sister, my Shiro, Roma. I love her dearly. My brother, my daughters, and my son, my husband, Travis. Oh God, just everybody that's just supporting me throughout this journey and that's there for me. And look, guys, y'all gotta forgive me. I run on and on and on. But look, don't blame it on me. Look, I'm telling y'all I'm on transplant medication. I always tell everybody. So, sometimes I just go on and on, but and my thoughts are not 100%. It's a part of it being transplanted, and hey, we gotta learn how to
Absolutely.
manage our.
Hey, and that's okay. I didn't feel like you was going on and on. You explained everything just the way you did, and it definitely came across well.
Okay, thank you so much, Steve. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So, um, again, thank you, Tawana Jones Ray from Patterson, Louisiana. We definitely appreciate you. We're going to keep you in our prayers.
Thank you.
Congratulations on your recent transplant anniversary, which was March.
March 7th. Yes, March
Yeah,
7th.
yeah, yeah. Okay,
Right.
I know that's about 6, 7,
18
8
months.
months, but still, that's
Yeah,
it. How
it's
are
been
your
a year
numbers?
transplant. A year and a half.
And
Yeah.
everything is going good.
Doing well, very well. Thank you. Everything's a-okay.
Great,
And
great. Okay, Tawana. Well, again, thank you for joining us, and we'll definitely be in touch and see all the things that you'll be doing with Ray's Kidneys Crusader.
okay, thanks, Steve. I
All
appreciate
right, take care. Talk to you soon. God bless you.
it.
All right.